Hey everybody, Tall Family Films here. If you joined via the link from the Nissan Titan air conditioner video, I wanted to show you a much better way to do the wiring. Came courtesy of some viewers who watched the video and gave me some comments back on this. I should have used butt connectors to do this connection, and I should have staggered the wires. So I'm going to use the butt connectors here. Staggering the wires is a little bit impossible since I've already cut the wires, and I'd have to make 2 splices in the wire. But anyways, sit back and enjoy. I'm going to undo the job that I did previously. So if you just watched that video, you saw me put all this together. So this wiring that you're seeing here is over a year old. It had no problems, but I just wanted to show a much better way to do this. So undid the wire nuts that are on here and sharpened up the copper wires. Take a regular butt connector, available in just about any auto parts store, and you just put the copper wires into each side of the connector and crimp them. It's a pretty simple procedure, but before you crimp, you need to put some heat shrink tubing over the wire, because you can't put it on once you've crimped it. You'll see why right here. Alright, so the heat shrink tubing is going to waterproof the cable once we're done. And you will get to see exactly how that works at the end. So now, as you might imagine, we join the 2 wires inside the butt connector. So butt connector is pretty simple. All it takes is you to come along and crimp the 2 sides of the connector. So just using a pretty simple electrical tool, also available probably at any auto parts store or Amazon. And you need to crimp it on both sides. There's metal inside here, obviously, that joins the 2 wires together. And you just need to crimp the 2 sides. So raise your hand if you're like me, and many times that when you crimp these, you don't actually crimp metal, you end up crimping the plastic on the edges and it doesn't hold the wire. So always test it by pulling it back apart a little, making sure that it's not going to come back apart. So now just slide the heat shrink tubing back down over it, and we're going to do the other one right now. Okay, so now I'm just going to disconnect the fan from the wiring here, the harness, and trying to give myself a little bit more room as I use the heat gun. I don't want to stick it in there and melt anything inside the engine. So you might be able to do this with a hair dryer. I haven't tried, but I happen to have a heat gun, so I'm going to use that here. And what we're going to do is just run the heat gun up and down the heat shrink tubing, and it will actually conform itself to the right around the wire, and you'll see all the gaps on the edges will completely disappear. So you can see that created a nice waterproof seal around the wires. You can even see where it shrunk down over the butt connectors, and you can kind of see them through the heat shrink tubing. So all of this will actually fit back inside the plastic sheath now. That was the problem before when I was using the wire nuts. It wouldn't fit back inside the sheath, but that's not a problem now. It would be even less of a problem if you staggered the wires. The other advantage in staggering the cuts in the wires is that if by some strange miracle both of the wires came out of their butt connectors and through the heat shrink, they wouldn't touch each other. So just added protection would be very unlikely, but it just gives you another layer of protection. You know, like if you were in an airplane and the engine went out and the pilot went to fix it, but his contact lens fell out, and also there was a snake in the cockpit. All those things came together, then maybe that might actually happen. All right, but we just plug it back in, and the job is done. So much better way of wiring. Sorry I didn't do it this way the first time, but I appreciate people commenting and pointing that out, and this is a much better way to do it. If this video helped you, you can really help me by subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Thank you very much.